from this photo here to that one, or a bit less extreme from this one to that one. That's how I would describe the upgrade from the Sony A7R5 to the brand new Sony A7R6. The A7R5 was a very interesting camera, but not necessarily for wildlife photographers in my opinion. The autofocus was not the best for birds and other wildlife. The readout was rather slow, same for the maximum frame rate. So it was more targeted towards studio photographers, landscape photographers, maybe macro photographers. Now with the A7R6, Sony kind of changed the game, because now we get this high resolution with a huge dynamic range and a lot of potential to crop the images if the animal is a bit too far away, but it's paired with speed. So we get up to 30 frames per second in RAW. We get pre-capture, also up to 1 second if we want to. We get a much faster readout of the sensor. It's a stacked sensor, and the rolling shutter is highly reduced because of the 5 times faster readout compared to the predecessor, the A7R5. And we also get the newest animal eye detection autofocus system, and get this, an even higher megapixel count with 67 megapixels. So it sounds kind of like the dream camera for many wildlife photographers. And in this video I want to compare it a bit to the A7R5 and talk about my recommendation after using it intensively for around 1 week in the field. And I can already tell you the images that I gathered in this week, they were in the terabyte range. So if we compare the camera body and the layout with the A7R5, it looks overall quite similar, and if you have been using the A7R5, you will have no problem adapting to the A7R6, which is a good thing. However, there are still some changes, and some of these refinements are, I think, more important in the field than you might actually think. The first one is that we have a new type of battery. It has a higher capacity and it lasts much longer. In fact, I was shooting swallows or sand martins in flight for a while. I took several thousand pictures, like 6, 7, 8,000 pictures, and I didn't manage to get the battery below 50%. So I think honestly with 2 of these batteries you can manage a whole day, and I think that's quite good. Of course, there is one small downside. You cannot use the old batteries in the A7R6 just because they have a different form factor, so they are physically not compatible. Another thing you will notice quite quickly when looking at these 2 cameras is that the A7R6 has an extra button here on top, and that's for the illumination of the rear buttons, which, well, they can be illuminated, which might be nice for astrophotography work or something. I never use it in wildlife, but the cool thing is we can freely customize this button. For example, I customized it in a way that I can switch easily between that it gives me a preview of the exposure or not, which might be quite useful in backlight situations when tracking fast-moving birds. If you look on the mode dial, you notice that on the A7R5 there is the custom modes or memory recall 1, 2 and 3, whereas the A7R6 only has 1 and 2 and then a star. And I would put it in quotation mark only because it's actually much more powerful, because you can save up to 10 of these MR settings in the photo mode, and you can then toggle very quickly between them. You can assign it to a button and then quickly toggle between, for example, one mode that you configure for more portraits of birds and one for action shots. And I really like this setup, and this is something that is only possible now. If you're curious to learn more about that, let me know in the comments, and I can maybe do a separate video just how you can configure this, how you can switch easily between it, and what kind of settings you need to be aware of. The A7R6 also has a telelight for video recording, which might not be the most important thing for wildlife photography, but still nice. And we have 2 USB-C ports so that you can charge the camera and simultaneously connect it to a computer for transferring the images, or basically having it as a tethered shooting option. One last thing I want to mention that is quite different between these 2 is the viewfinder. So it looks similar on the first glance, but the one of the A7R6 is so much better. We have around 9.4 million dots viewfinder, and it's also blackout free now, which is a huge advantage if we shoot in, if we want to track birds in flights or something like this. And it's much brighter, clearer, and has better color accuracy. It's hard to describe, but I went back and forth between these cameras and the difference was huge. I had the feeling that there was not only one generation of difference, but it was rather a different class of camera. So this was highly welcome as well. Otherwise, the body layout hasn't changed much on the A7R6. We still have this display that, in my opinion, is the best mechanism that exists at the moment on the market. We have 4 command dials for changing settings, which is also amazing. And we have a dual card slot, which is a dual card slot with dual function, because in both of the card slots you can put either a CF Express Type A or an SD card. And spoiler alert, don't put an SD card in there. I managed once that I filled my CF Express Type A card, my 512 gigabyte cards, during an afternoon, and the camera switched to the SD cards, and with 30 frames per second and 67 megabytes, it really gets a bit painful. So I would recommend that you just invest in 2 CF Express Type A cards. I link the ones that I use below. Let's get to the heart of the camera, the sensor. We now have a 67 megapixel fully stacked sensor, but there is a but. It's still not as fast as, for example, an A1 Mark II or the A1 that share the same sensor. Sony doesn't state their readout, but it has been reported between 15 and 18 milliseconds, which puts it a little bit slower than the A7 IV, the Nikon Z6 III or Canon R6 Mark III. And this means it's fast enough for most situations. If I take pictures of herons, of geese, of ducks in flight, I never had any issue with rolling shutter. In the wings, the only thing you see if you pan along and you have vertical lines in the background, they start to tilt a bit. However, if you take pictures of fast flying birds, for example swifts, swallows, martins and so on, you occasionally see a bit of rolling shutter. But it's not too bad. I actually never used the mechanical shutter because, to be honest, these 30 frames per second are just a huge advantage. And if in 1 out of 30 frames I have a little bit of rolling shutter, that's still better than only having 10 frames per second, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I cannot tell too much about the image quality at this point, because at the point of recording, neither Lightroom nor Capture One nor DxO nor Luminar are supporting the format of the A7R6, the RAW format, so I needed to use this RAW converter from Sony. I'm not 100% familiar with it, so I like the images that I get out of it, but I don't dare yet to do any comparisons to A1 or A7 IV because I edited the images with different software, so you need to wait a bit if you want my verdict. Until these common image editors support the file format. One thing that I was a little bit disappointed was the shortest shutter speed that is possible. So in the electronic shutter, the shortest that is achievable is 1/8000th of a second, which is not too bad. It's enough for flying birds and so on. But sometimes if I shoot backlit, especially at the sea or at a lake, and I have kind of bokeh from the water in the background, I want I need an even shorter shutter speed because I'm already at 100 ISO. Maybe I'm using a lens that is f4 and I want to use it wide open, and then sometimes this 1/8000th can be a bit of a problem. I would have wished to have 1/16th or even 1/32,000th of a second. In terms of autofocus, there were huge improvements over the A7R V, and it's now quite comparable to the A7 V. So in terms of tracking, it was very good. But I had the impression that I felt a bit of a difference between the A7R6 and the A1 Mark II that has this 120 calculations per second for the autofocus, whereas this one here only has 60. And especially for fast flying birds like swallows, when they're flying in my direction, I felt like that my keep rate was slightly slower, but no big deal. In terms of the subject recognition, there's of course a huge advantage compared to the A7R V. Again, it's comparable to the A7 V, maybe slightly better than the A1 Mark II. However, if you compare it to modern Canon cameras, I feel like they still have the edge in recognition, and I want to illustrate this with this small clip here. So first we have this A7R6. And as you can see, if I use a really large area autofocus, you can see that the camera always goes on something else, but not on the bird. And only if I switch to the flexible spot or whatever type of spot autofocus, it finds the eye of the bird and also tracks it reliably after. The Canon autofocus, in this case it's the Canon R5 II, is just somehow easier to use because you can do much more with the whole area or wide area AF or with a large zone. As you can see in this example, it has no trouble picking up the head of the swallows. So don't get me wrong, it's a really good autofocus system, and especially in backlit it clearly outperforms the Canon, but you need to change the settings a bit more often than you need with the Canon cameras. If you use the mechanical shutter, you still get 10 frames per second, but when using the electronic shutter, you get up to 30 frames per second if you use the compressed RAW. And I would anyway recommend to use the compressed RAW because the autofocus seems to perform a bit better, and most importantly, you don't have a kind of a laggy viewfinder. So this like smooth blackout free viewfinder you only get if you select the compressed RAW. And there, it works fine with the 30 frames per second, but you might already wonder, 30 frames per second, RAW, 67 megapixels, how is the buffer? And here I'm pleasantly surprised that the buffer is actually quite good. So I did a test and I managed to get around 150 compressed RAW shots in a series in one burst before the camera was starting to just slow down a bit. And I think that's a quite good value. That's 5 seconds of rapid fire. And in reality, this is very rarely the case. And then if you just let go for a second, you can already take a long burst again. Of course, these numbers only hold true if you write to the CF Express Type A card and not to the much slower SD card. So as mentioned in the beginning of the video, I would highly recommend to get 2 CF Express Type A cards for this camera. I didn't film a lot with the A7R6, so I cannot say too much. I just suggest you watch another video if you're interested in that. The only thing that I can say is that I really felt a difference in the image stabilizer, especially combined with the modern Sony lenses like the 400 to 800. I think it works much better handheld, or it's usable handheld, which I would not say was the case with the A7R5. So overall, I think Sony did a really good job with the A7R6, and I think it's going to sell extremely well with wildlife photographers because of this combination of a good autofocus, fast readout, fast frame rate, and high megapixel count that is often desired. And I think it sits perfectly between the A7 IV and the A1 II, the A7 V being a bit the all-rounder, the A7R6 being the premium all-rounder, and the A1 II being really the flagship camera that has some features for extreme situations where it still outperforms the A7R6. As mentioned, for example, the shorter shutter speed that is possible, the faster autofocus, and so on. Are you going to get an A7R6, or what are your experiences with it if you already got it? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to buy the camera, I put some affiliate links down below. With buying over these links, you would just help to support this channel.